Hello. Hi. This is Bea from Ritual. Hi. Um, Dagny from Art Plus asked me to share maybe something to do with like what we do in Ritual, like sourcing or some things that we do with our suppliers, partners. But since we're on lockdown, we haven't really been able to take the bus or fly anywhere, and our shop is closed. So I just thought that I would share like what I usually do in Poblacion, which is where I live and where we also have our production place. And what I usually do is, well, I forage not just for food, but also for compost, for medicine, for anything really. Like um, one of the reasons that I moved to Poblacion from, I had never lived in an urban area before, is because it's a mixed income area, and with that also comes a diversity in the plants that people take care of, the plants that they bring with them, and also it's a bit less like um, controlled in terms of plants. So in neighboring Rockwell, where there are a lot of plants, they spray things on the plants, I don't know, to keep the pests away or to keep the mosquitoes away. So I much prefer Poblacion, and it's been so nice in the past couple of weeks because no cars. So usually I would not forage for food plants in Poblacion, but the air has been so great. So I have actually been foraging for food plants around here. Um, I'm gonna show you some plants and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about them. I can't promise to show you a lot because it's almost dark and I'm gonna have to wear my face mask now because if I don't, I go to jail for 6 months, 60 days, and I have to pay 5,000 pesos. Yeah, so if any of you have questions about, can you hear me? I hope you can still hear me. So if any of you have questions about plants, foraging, or anything, I would be really happy to answer them, whether here or at a later time. So this first plant that I'm gonna show you is really common. I'm gonna get right into the plants. It's called Ficus septica or Hawili. You would know it by these little fruits over there. Now you see these a lot growing from the sides from little holes in walls, and that is because ficus plants are really, they have fruit that birds love, so the birds really like to eat them and poop them out. So this one is growing on a sidewalk, and also there's another one growing right out here, and that's another ficus over there. So they're actually really common, and they're actually, but traditionally they're used for curing headaches. Like if you see old Filipino pictures or drawings of people with cloths tied around their forehead and leaves sticking out, it's usually something like this. This is hawili. So what you would do is put a little coconut oil and pass it over a fire and just stick it to your forehead. Some people say that it will turn red as it absorbs your fever, but I'm not sure. It has never turned red with me. I got sick in Bohol last year, and the local hilot said she would come by with some leaves, and she gave me hawili. So it's really common. Stuff to look for. It's shiny. Okay, it's not velvety. It's shiny. And you find them growing on the sides of sidewalks and everything. And let me look for a fruit here. There's our balot there. Yeah, so the fruits look like this. There you go. These are small versions of the fruits you find. Usually they can get bigger. So yeah, hawili, Ficus septica, if you want to look it up. These ones, they're all over Makati. They're also a ficus variety. They're called Ficus religiosa. And they're a sacred tree in India. And if any of you have been to India, you would see that they're also used there to make little disposable plates like that. So they kind of fold them and stick a little stick or toothpick there, and it becomes a plate. And that is really good if you have children, or you have picnics, or you make muffins, or you make baked things, because you can use this as a liner for your baking pan. So yeah, so that's also a ficus. That's why you see it growing from the side of the street, because birds eat the fruit and poop it out. Down here, so those are like ornamentals, which usually actually ornamentals are also medicinal, but I'm gonna focus now on things that people don't actually plant on purpose. So this is actually another ficus. Yes, Mars today is asking me if I forage if I used to forage before the quarantine. Yes. This is another tree called is, and it's another ficus. It's called sandpaper fig, and you will definitely know that it is what it is, because when you hold it, it's very rough, super rough. In fact, people used to use it to polish their wooden floors. So you can actually use it to polish wooden things. I mean, to sand them down. We use them as sandpaper sometimes. And you can also use them to clean other things aside from wood. I noticed that my dogs, Dadney's mom uses it to scrub pans. Scrub anything. This is the original sandpaper. You'll know it when you hold it. It's really rough. Some people use it to polish pewter, like pewter pieces. They also have these little fruit. Actually, when the fruit are ripe and very purple, you can actually eat them. They taste like inferior figs. My dog also used to eat this a lot. He used to eat the leaves, and I found out that it is actually good for dogs with parasites. So my dog had parasites. So there are all these little plants growing in the side. But I'm gonna head over to a less busy place. Hi, Kuya. That's our Kuya Balut. So I also wanted to show you guys Poblacion, because Poblacion, not that many people know that Poblacion actually used to be part of a pre-Hispanic kingdom called Namayan, which was a kingdom that spanned Santa Ana, Guadalupe, and all that stuff. So historically, it was an important town along Pasig River that made pottery and all that stuff. Pottery, shoes, etc. So it's actually like you wouldn't know if you go clubbing here, but it's like maybe 5 minutes away from Pasig River. And I don't know, when I hit 30, I promised myself that I would live somewhere that's not gated or with no guard. And I really like it. I mean, there it's inconvenient in a lot of ways, like it's noisy sometimes, but I still feel like I'm in the Philippines. I don't feel like I'm in some homogenized environment. And I want my kids to know what it's like to be in the Philippines, to live and have things in their lives that are not just consumption decisions, but actually, hi guys, but actually like, real things, real people that enter their lives. Anyway, this is one of my very favorite places to go in Poblacion. It's actually, if you noticed, it's kind of like up there is Makati High School. So it's a really hilly place. The place that I live in, Poblacion, is actually on top of the hill. In fact, the local organization is called the Highlanders. So they built the school there, and they kind of built it on some kind of cliff, or tinapyas nila yung bato. So now they cemented the whole side, and it looks kind of like a mountain, right? So it's really nice because I prefer coming here versus going to the parks, because sometimes I see skinks, sometimes I see all sorts of things. My son and I pick garbage up here every Thursday just to see, how things are. Hi everyone. Okay, I'll let that motorcycle pass. Yeah. So you can actually find a lot of medicinal plants in these situations, because if you're familiar with biology or permaculture, things are attracted to edges. I could talk about edges forever, but basically it's like when there's an edge, like a meeting of two substances or two surfaces, there's moisture and everything, so things tend to accumulate where there are a lot of edges. So this plant right here, this really common weed that you see all over the Philippines, it's called bicas, Micania cordata. An infusion of this is good for stomach problems. You see, it looks like a heart, but it's actually very it has serrations, very irregular serrations. So this is actually quite a common vine, and you can use it for stomach problems if you infuse it. Some people eat it. I've never tried. It's one of those things that you call a pot herb. People put a lot of the fresh green leaves into soup or whatever. I haven't tried, but some people eat it. It's all over. See? If you ever run out of food, you can go for this. It's called bicas, Bikas. And also, a plant that is dear to me. This is a wildling of alagaw. Those of you who are from the Tagalog region, lowland Tagalog, will know that this is what they use to make the original bopis, or batchoy ba? Bopis. It's actually, the scientific name is Premna odorata. So if you smell it, some people say nakakasuka yung smell, but I think it smells like very herbaceous. They use this to wrap around fish. Hi, Cheska. They wrap this around fish before grilling. They stuff the stomach of the bangus with it before grilling. They use it when they make ginatang catfish, which is a traditional dish here because it's near Pasig River. Alagao, yeah. This is also good for tuberculosis. It's also good. They say it's good for varicose veins. It's good for TB. So it's part of the traditional Filipino pito-pito. And I guess that's something you would want to be taking now with the coronavirus thing. It's not easy to grow this from seed. It's one of those things that grows much better when birds poop them out. Cheska, I'm not sure if it would be good for dog stomach problems, but if you want your dogs to self-medicate, you can bring them in places with a lot of wild plants, and usually they would eat one or two things. There's a great book called, what was that book called? Wild Health or something. Basta, it's about animal health and plants. So, back to the alagao. So this thing, it's been also used, I think it gained popularity because it's used in some restaurant in Antipolo for wrapping food. So you can actually eat it raw. Yeah, so just note it down, alagao. It's better to get it from wildlings, although it fruits a lot. It's so hard to grow. But yeah, so here's another common weed, so pretty. This is called tagulinaw. It's a weed, but you can eat the flowers and the young leaves. So eating flowers is a really good way to get, like some antioxidants in you. Like just put a little bit on your salad. Be sure it's edible. This is super common and it's so cute. Sometimes my kids and I just pick it and put it in. Oops, sorry, motorcycle. Yeah. We also have a poor little culitis here. So this is culitis. It's called culitis. People call it amaranth. I mean spinach. But it's actually an amaranth plant. It's the wild leaves are that's not a good one. So I just Google it na lang because I don't want you to misidentify it because this is not a good example of it. But this is a really good plant. A lot of people from the Visayas, they cook it with fish. Kind of parang sinabawan lang nila yung fish, tas they put that. And this plant is used, the stems are used to make suman sa lihiya. So you take this, you dry it, you make ash out of it by burning it, and then you soak it and make a weak lye. Yeah, like the lye that you use for soap. And then you use it to make suman sa lihiya, the Batangas specialty. Am I boring you guys yet? Anyway, this is my usual path. And then this is another, let me backtrack a bit. Can you hear the birds? So this thing is called, this vine, looks like a strawberry vine, but it's not. It's called kalit-kalit. It's really, really beautiful. It's formed this kind of canopy here. It's really good. It's beautiful. It has a purple fruit, which we don't have right now. The roots of this plant, are ground up for tumors and boils. and all sorts of growths. So if you are somehow able to get to the root of this, you can dig it up and dry it and save it and pound it if you have pigsa or a growth. The great thing about plant medicine is like when you encounter something and you think it's gonna be important, you can just pick it and dry it and use it when you need to. There are so many things that are useful to us, just all around us. And it's actually very therapeutic to go hunting for, not hunting. This plant is called hagonoy. Hagonoy, as in Hagonoy, Bulacan. It's quite a common plant. I suggest you Google it instead of looking at this sample, because hagonoy is a plant that's really useful in emergencies. Like if you get a cut and if you have a cut that is actively bleeding and you squish a hagonoy leaf and rub it on your sugat, it's gonna stop bleeding. So that's really important to know. It also grows in a lot of mountain areas. So if you're mountain climbing, please remember this hagonoy plant. It's really important. Okay, are the holes in the leaves of plant? Usually holes indicate that an insect has eaten the plant or it's sick. If an insect has eaten the plant and I'm foraging medicinally, actually sometimes that means that the plant would have produced even more actives to protect itself. So in some ways it's more potent. I don't really mind if there are holes or not. If I'm gonna dry them, I don't really mind so much. But if I'm actually gonna not if I'm actually gonna use them fresh or not actively dehydrate them, it's better to get the ones without holes kasi there's less surface area exposed that could make it go bad. So okay, one other thing, this is an aratilis plant. So one other thing that I do when I forage is I actually get wildlings to plant. So that's one aratilis plant, and this place has a lot of sampalok because there's a sampalok tree. So I actually usually collect little seedlings which the barangay is gonna come and get rid of anyway. So there, I'm collecting the sampalok seedlings. So if you do that, you have to really make sure that you very gently pull them. And see, I have the whole plant. If I don't pick this, the barangay maintenance is just gonna throw these. But imagine, I can pick them and make them into trees. So this is sampalok. I'm gonna bring them home, grow them into trees, and give them away. So yeah, imagine this thing could become that thing, that huge thing.
She's not.
My son is here. Pablo, say hi.
She's not calling.
Pablo, say hi.
Hi.
That's my son. Say hi. I'm showing them the plants that we usually get. Okay. So yeah, that's basically basic foraging. And the first...
Showing who?
Huh?
We're showing who?
Just people that are watching. So the basic thing is just to be curious about everything around you. And sometimes if you like a seedling and you think, and you don't even know what it is, then you just collect it. Make sure to pull it gently, preferably after it rains, so that you get the whole root system. And if you can't plant it right away, put it in a bottle of water so it won't die. All sorts of seedlings from these places, and then I give them away to whoever wants them, like my neighbors. Sometimes I leave them outside the house, and people are much more willing to take them when they're bigger. And or I give them to people I know that have farms, etc. This one still has the sampalok thing on it. Yeah. So yeah, this is wild. Yeah, it's getting too dark to show other stuff, but yeah. So if you have any questions about foraging, let me know. I will be glad to help you. It's getting a little bit too dark to identify things right now properly, but if you encounter a plant that you cannot identify, feel free to message me. It's my obsessive hobby to identify plants, and it keeps me up at night. Yeah, I wanted to show you this, kaya lang tumiklop na siya. This plant, this plant is called sampalukan. Oh, it's so mala. Ayan. Tumiklop na siya kasi gabi na. Pero, it looks like sampalok during the day, and it has seeds growing under, like that. This is really good for dissolving kidney stones. I learned about these local plants through years of studying, but also years of traveling around the Philippines, and also from people who work with us, like helpers, cooks. They know so much. They're gonna save us one day. So this is sampalukan. If you notice, there are seeds growing under. Hey, what's that? I showed them the calamansi. Pablo foraged a calamansi. Cool. Yeah, so if you notice, there are seeds under the sampalukan. Those are the markers of sampalukan to differentiate from an ipil seedling or whatever. This is good for kidney stones. So if you have kidney stones and you can't afford to go to the doctor, this plus sambong has treated not a few people that I know. It actually prevents them from going to the doctor, getting surgery. Yeah. Anyway, does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Oh yeah, I forgot to show you guys. So when I go around and forage, I usually bring a pair of scissors, and I also bring. I will bring it home. Okay, I will bring it home.
I'll put it here.
A pair of scissors, a multi-tool for harvesting branches, and also anything that I'm working on. I also have little projects. Let me show you this thing. Sometimes I have small projects that I do. Like right now I'm working on this tiny basket. I'm working on this tiny basket. So I can't see. You can't see it. So that's like a basket. And I basically fill it up with... Where is it? I fill it up with plants that I get from cracks in the sidewalk. So they're really small. But basically, basically they're like plants that I get from the sidewalk. And yeah, sometimes I have these little projects. My son is complaining kasi may ipis. Yes, I think these plants can be found at almost any part of the city, but you have to be careful about chemicals. Like in places that have like golf courses, they use a lot of chemicals. In the American cemetery, there are a lot of chemicals.
Can I put this here?
Yeah, okay. In the American cemetery, they have a lot of chemicals. In some subdivisions, they use...
You can bring this home.
Okay, thank you.
Because you don't have calamansi.
Okay. In some places they use they spray things for mosquitoes and all that stuff. So you just have to be careful. I'm actually more scared of chemicals than dog poop. So yeah. So that's really... I would forage in places like that you observe that people don't spray anything, and also that dogs don't pee in. You don't want that. Usually if you live a certain place, you can observe areas and start seeing whether they have whether there's maintenance work done on it, etc. You can also, opposite of foraging, you can also plant seeds in places where they're not supposed to be. Like throw papaya seeds in an empty lot. Throw papaya seeds in a park. It's so satisfying. Washing it would help. Also, why do I collect plants from the sidewalk? I don't know. I just feel like they're really resilient, and also they sometimes, because they're under so much stress, they have different colorations. Like they turn hi boss. It's the police. So sometimes they turn different colors and they're nicer. They look, their survival mechanism sometimes makes them nicer. So I collect little plants from cracks in the street. So let me show you. So that's kind of cool, right? Oops. Anyway, I think that it's getting dark. And did I answer all the questions? Yeah, washing your herbs would help. Soak them in baking soda and water, or soak them in salty water. Sometimes you can soak them in vinegar also, if you're planning about them. Honestly, they can absorb, especially the fuzzy plants, they can absorb heavy metals. But unless you're buying organic veggies, you also don't know where those come from. Any other questions? Because I'm gonna wrap this up now. No questions. Okay then, I think I'm gonna say bye now. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share the urban plant life with you. Hello from this little overgrown thing. I don't know if it's gonna be replayed, but maybe. I think it's gonna be available. Yeah, just if you have any plan to identify, just Send them over. I love identifying plants. Alright, thanks guys. See you.